In today's video, I'm going to talk about the stepped-up basis in real estate, which is a wonderful tax planning and legacy planning tool to pass on hundreds of thousands, if not even potentially millions in capital gains on your real estate to your heirs completely tax-free. And it's very simple. This is a strategy that I talk about with clients of my wealth management firm, DocShah Financial. We help retirees and pre-retirees tax plan, financial plan, portfolio allocate, and do all kinds of other great things for their legacy planning. The slides you're seeing are directly from my retirement planning course that I teach at Johns Hopkins University, which is also my alma mater. So let's talk about what the stepped up basis is in general. The stepped up basis is essentially when you pass away, the cost basis on your investments rising to the fair market value, thus eliminating all capital gains. Now, the stepped up basis does not apply to every asset that you own. It doesn't apply to every account that you own. It only manifests in very specific places. It shows up, one, in your brokerage account, and the other place it shows up is in real estate. So when you pass down homes, one of the best tax planning tools that we can look at is making sure that you don't pass them down too soon. This is such a common mistake people make, where they might be a few years away from death. Of course, nobody ever knows, right, when you're going to ultimately pass away. But for some people who maybe have health complications, there's a little bit more certainty there. And they'll pass down their homes to their heirs while they're still alive, and then the heirs inherit that original very low cost basis. So let's use a very quick example here. Let's say that you buy a home for $500,000, and ultimately, when you pass away, that home is worth $1 million. Well, if you gave that $1 million home to your son, for example, if they're the beneficiary, the day before you pass away, guess what? That son now has a house that has your original cost basis of $500,000, and ultimately he's going to have to pay a lot in capital gains tax. Now, if instead you waited one day until you passed away and your son then inherited your real estate, well, the cost basis on your home, $500,000, gets raised to the fair market value at the date of death, which in this case is $1 million. And all of the capital gains gone, just like that. Poof, vanished, finito, no longer there, completely zeroed out. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't stop at one home. If we look here on the left side of this slide, we can see that even if you had three homes, for example, like a primary residence, a vacation home, or rental property, each individual property is going to get its own step up in basis when you pass away, and thus your heirs can inherit those homes completely tax-free. Now, there's a lot of nuance with this, right? There's a lot of nuance with all of these tax planning strategies, but generally speaking, the step up applies whether the home passes via will, probate, living trust, transfer on death deed, or joint tenancy with rights of survivorship. There is so much wonderful financial planning that we can do here with clients, and I'll give you one very quick example. Let's say you have two kids, a daughter and a son. And let's say that your daughter is immensely successful and she's paying 50% in tax, right? She is paying, maybe she's in the 37% federal tax bracket and she's living in California. She's in the 13% state tax bracket. So she's paying like 50% of her money in taxes. So let's say that you have $1 million in your traditional IRA and she inherits that account. Well, there's no step up in basis in that account. So every time she pulls money from that account, she's going to pay 50% in tax, because the withdrawals are taxed at her ordinary income rate. Now, let's say that you have a son who is in a much lower tax bracket. Well, he could inherit that traditional IRA and not pay nearly as much tax as a sister would. So you can kind of see where I'm going in here. Maybe we give the sister the real estate, so it wipes out all the capital gains, so she doesn't pay any income tax on what she inherits. And we give the son the traditional IRA, which, due to his very low tax rate, will leave him with the majority of the assets in that account. So you can see how we can play with the different accounts, the different investments in what account, and then who we ultimately want it to go to. If you want to learn more about all of these wonderful tax planning strategies that I have on this channel, and if you're interested in learning more about how we work with retirees and pre-retirees on saving taxes, financial planning, and portfolio optimization, just shoot me an email, raul@docshahfinancial.com. I'd love to hear from you and your personal situation and how I could potentially help. Otherwise, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.